Hello everybody. Welcome on in. It's time for another Ed Talk. My name is Jay Edgar, as you know. It is a great Saturday. We'll be doing a garden update a little bit later. I'm going to actually clean up the beast here a little bit later on today because, I want to look fresh and nice and neat, and it is getting a little bit out of hand. So we'll be getting that cleaned up here in the near future here, but it's time for another rousing episode of Ed Talk. This would usually be my off week for Ed Talk right now, but something came up this past week. We talked about it over on Contemporary, but I wanted to take some time and really get down to brass tacks as to what was going on and how I really felt about it. Because it really kind of upset me, I'm not going to lie. Let's go through the introductions here first. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jay Edgar, and for the next hour, we are going to sit down and take, for the most part, listener questions about anything that you guys want to talk about. But this episode is going to be just slightly different because for the first two segments, I'm actually not going to take listener questions for just these first two segments through because I really want to get through these topics. I really do. I've got the live chat up. I can see what you guys are saying, but I'm going to address them after I talk about these first two topics. We are streaming live right now to YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Periscope, and Facebook. And if you're over on Facebook, make sure you come back over and get into the live chat on one of the other platforms that you see linked above you, because then I can see your chat. I can't see your comments or your live chat while I'm sitting here live over on your channel because it doesn't feed into my Restream bot. So go ahead and head on over to either the YouTube, the Twitch, or the DLive and come and join me and come hang out and ask your questions here. It's a good day. It's nice and sunny. I took a jog. This was supposed to happen at 5:30, but I went out and I took a jog because I need it because I'm still kind of chubby. But I'm working on that. I did the low carb thing and it's actually doing very well for me. I'm very impressed by, how much energy I have now, how much more flexible I've become, and just how well you can actually eat if you cut the bread out of your life. I mean, I haven't touched a slice of bread for what has it been now? 6 weeks? 7 weeks? Almost 2 months at this point. And I feel great. And I think if a lot of people just cut out a lot of the bread from their diet or the pasta or anything else, we wouldn't be seeing near the amount of problems that we'd be seeing with the COVID right now, because a lot of it is comorbidities. A lot of it comes out with a lot of things. Either you have asthma or obesity or diabetes caused by obesity. There are very, very few people that are dying from the coronavirus. Most of the people that are dying with coronavirus are dying from something else that they had that caused their immune system to be compromised in some way or another. And that's something that I've noticed, but they're still pumping those numbers up because they want you to live in fear, absolute fear of the rest of your life. But I'm not here to talk about coronavirus right now because that could be an entire hour-long Ed Talk here if we went through the chat with everything out this. There are a couple things that I want to address before I get in with the chat. There are a couple things that I want to talk about in my life, and you guys are a great audience. You guys, I really enjoy the fact that you guys come around here every week, and I hope that you'll keep coming around as we move on. But the first thing that I want to talk about here is the End of Eddsworld. This coming Monday is the last episode of Eddsworld, episode number 76. I have the first guest, Emily, coming back on to help me close everything out. And I'm pretty excited for that because without Emily, there would be no Eddsworld. I didn't even plan on making that in Eddsworld. I didn't even plan on making that into a long-form podcast. I was doing an episode on the British health system and the Charlie Gard case. And because Emily has a child that has spina bifida, I wanted her perspective on a child who had the health services turn their back on the child. And I wanted to talk to somebody who actually had a child with a chronic illness, with an illness that there wasn't going to be any cure from. And we sat down and we talked, and I realized how much I enjoyed that. But of course, where I was living at the time, there was no way in hell that I could have made that a regular thing, because I was still living with my ex-girlfriend at the time. We had broken up, but I was still living with her because we were locked into the lease together. So, and I knew that she wanted to see me fail in life. She would never want to see any of what you're seeing right now in front of you. She wouldn't want to see me fail. She'd be popping in. There would be no way in hell I could live stream, because I would never know when she was going to come in and start throwing shit, making noise, and screaming at shit. And plus that idiot dog that we lived with at the time. I shouldn't be mean to him. I liked that dog, and that dog loved me unconditionally. The only thing in that building that loved me unconditionally was that dog. So, I shouldn't say anything bad about Orion. He was a good dog, but yeah. But that put the taste into my mouth of something that I really wanted to do. And I'm looking back now over, it's been about 1.5 years of doing Eddsworld. I've only missed 2 weeks of Eddsworld. The second week, because my microphone burnt out right after I did the second episode. Let me back up the timeline here. So when I first started out my solo video channel, when I first started doing solo videos, highly edited, highly produced videos, I did take the time and I reached out to my friend Emily and I said, hey, you want to come in here and have this discussion with me? But I was still doing these videos. That was probably, I think that was like my 10th video. So it was really, really early on in my channel. It was massively early on in my channel. So when I did that, I went down and I sat down, and it was a heavily edited episode again. I did make sure, because we were having connection issues, I kept dropping the call out, but I mean, it went great. It went really well. Turned out I got a bunch of views off of it, and I'm sure that some of her friends came in and talked as well. But that did put the idea in my head that maybe this was something that I wanted to do. And then once I got in here into this new studio, I still did solo videos, probably 4 or 5 months, and then at New Year's time, I was on the generational gap. They were just starting out. They were probably 6 to 8 weeks in themselves, and I was on their show on a shooting the shit episode, because Monday was my day off. I just got done. I was working on my solo video at the time, and I was on their show. I met Robert for the first time. I had talked to John before, because I'd reached out to him when he said he wanted to do a podcast, and helped him through with some of the tech stuff and some of the organization stuff. I helped him out with that, and then he invited me on their show, and I fell in love with the format. I enjoyed having the conversation, having a two-way talk, and most of that conversation was between myself and Robert for that first conversation. So we sat and we had the talk, and now those two are like brothers to me at this point. I've actually hung out with both of them as well, and it's amazing where we've come in 1.5 years and what they've done. But going back on Eddsworld, it was right after that I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. Now, I didn't realize that I had the capability of live streaming at the time. I thought that I was just going to have to pre-record still, so I did most of the run of Eddsworld. Actually, no, it wasn't most of it at this point. But like the first, 6 months of Eddsworld, we were doing it pre-recorded. I would record with a guest, and then I would release it on Tuesday morning in the audio platform and the video platform. I would just get it up and get it released at that point. I was doing everything around 6:30 Central Time on Mondays. That's how I fell into the time slot. But I was just posting it to YouTube on Tuesday morning. And then I just got up and said, you know what, why don't we just do this live? And I cleaned up my computer, my hard drive, so I could actually have some RAM to do it with. I thought I was going to have to build a new laptop in order to do Eddsworld Live. I thought I was going to have to build a new computer before I could live stream. But no, this little HP that I've got over here has been a champion of champions. It has held up, and I have abused the shit out of this thing. This laptop has done way more than it was ever designed to do. So this little girl here has been a champ. I'm very happy with how that turned out. But this is what I've learned over the last 1.5 years of Eddsworld. First off, I have got to talk to some of the coolest people in the world. In fact, one of those that's sitting in here in the chat right now that just popped in, the Irate Conservative, I met him from doing Eddsworld. And I was absolutely ecstatic to be on his show, to have him on mine. That guy is a great interview. He's great to talk to. He's really knowledgeable about what's going on, and he can get me laughing so hard my glasses come off, and I'm very happy about that. But I've talked to and met some great people, and I never noticed it before until I went back and looked at my last solo video talking about Boston banning the B word. But just from where my channel started to where I'm at now, my confidence is up through the roof, and I can hear it in my voice when I listen back to myself now versus listening to myself talk in a highly edited video. I feel like a completely different person at this point. I feel like I'm more in command of the way things are going and more in command of myself, my faculties. I stutter a little bit, and that comes with live streaming though. And it's something that I've grown up with and I've dealt with. I'll run for president one day and I'll make the excuse like Biden did when I have no mental faculties left. It's a story that I overcame, and I overcame it forever, and now that I got old it came back. Instead of the fact that his brain is Swiss cheese and he's in the late stage of dementia. That's what it's going to be as we go along here. But I've met some really cool people. One of the first people I talked to, Jen the Libertarian, was amazing, and I still very much enjoy her show. I've said it on numerous occasions. I feel very differently about immigration than she does because of her strict libertarian stance and how borders violate the NAP. I don't understand that. Because you'll put a fence around your house, but you won't put one around your country. But once again, that's another story for another Ed Talk. Maybe I'll get into that someday when I screech about DACA again for the next time. But, at some point, you got to think about that. I talked to Matt Christensen. I could only do a shorty episode with him. I actually got to talk to Brady Leonard, who was one of my heroes coming into this. Brady Leonard was my first Twitter follow. He was the first person that followed me over on Twitter. Until then, I was just a person that was spinning blogs out into the ether and hoping that somebody would read them. But I got to talk to him, and I'm pretty pumped about the fact that I got to talk to him. And I met, Freckles and Britt. I got to actually sit down and have a chat with Freckled Liberty. And it was, awesome. This 40,000 follower Twitter personality took the time to sit down for 2 hours with me and talk about the news. That's incredible. And it's done great things for my confidence coming out into the world, too. I mean, yes, there are some points where I've scrambled at the last minute to get a guest, and I've got some great people here that can really help me out in a pinch, too. Jessica Green came on my show at the last minute. The last time Jessica Green was on my show, it was literally, I was making a schedule late on Saturday night and realized I had no guest. And I reached out to her and I said, hey, can you help me out on Monday? And she said, hell yes, absolutely. After she sat down and babysat Contemporary for a week, I'm ecstatic about the fact that she was able to do this. And even thinking back, not this past birthday of mine, but the birthday before, which would have been April 30th in 2019, I did something that after what my ex-girlfriend did to me, I thought my confidence was shot. And I do think that was a part of the reason that I seemed so unconfident and so afraid on some of my solo videos. My confidence was shot, especially with women. But on April 10th, 2019, I sent a Twitter message to one of the hottest girls I've ever seen in my life and said, hey, you want to do a podcast with me? I could have not done that before I started doing Eddsworld. And she said yes. And you can look back and you can look at the episode of with Carly Krogman. The first time I got a chance to talk to somebody from Gen Z. That was amazing. I felt great about that. And I've carried that confidence going forward here too. I've met some people that I have the great opportunity to call friend. The R-rated conservative, Chris Lokes, the Generational Gap boys, Stephen Ignoramus. I sat in a truck for 24 hours with Stephen Ignoramus just so we could drive down to Florida and visit the Gen Gap guys. And then spent 3 days in an Airbnb with the two of them. They're like brothers to me at this point. I feel incredible about that. That's awesome. Fritzcast, I met that guy before. That guy's an awesome... I wish I could have talked to him one more time before I ended Eddsworld, but hey, maybe Elaine and I will go ahead and have him on. We're planning on doing maybe a monthly interview coming up, so maybe we'll have him on for one of those because he's a great guy to talk to. Brian Nichols, I could have never imagined I would have talked to one of the biggest libertarian podcasters out there, but it sure happened. I've met some great people coming out to here, plus, Freckles and Britt, Jessica Green. So many people that I can actually sit down and call a friend. Wyatt Birkenhoff, who would have ever thought that kid would be going the places that he was at the beginning of this. But man, this kid is going places. He's so knowledgeable. He knows everything that's going on in the world, and he analyzes it in such a concise and clear way. I'm so glad I got to meet this kid. So, yeah, it was an amazing time to sit down and do Eddsworld. I'm so glad I got the chance to meet these people. I learned a lot from doing Eddsworld. I learned absolutely a ton of things from doing that. This is one of the best experiences of my life, and I am actually a little bit sad that it's drawing to a close. But right now, I'm looking at the fact that I now run Freedom Scoop. Jake does the tech side because he still has the servers up by him, and the woman that operates the tech is up by him. But for the most part, I get together, I try and organize who gets to be on there. I'm trying to build a writing site, and that takes up huge chunks of my time. Chunks of my time that I would normally before use for scheduling guests and writing up schedules. I've come to a point in my life that as long as I have a 40-hour a week job, which I do, on top of doing all of this, I cannot bring out the effort that it requires to do Eddsworld anymore, because it takes so much of my time to do this and run this on my own. So a few weeks ago when I talked to Elaine Joan, the Libertarian Redhead, after we turned the microphones off, even after she was late for the show, after we turned the microphones off, I looked at the chemistry that we had just had, and I said, this is incredible. I'm amazed by what happened here. Would you like to be my permanent co-host? And she said yes. We've sat down. We came up with a name. Actually, Seawall came up with a name. It was a play on what Elaine had suggested at first, but we shortened it considerably because it was going to be very long before that. So starting on July 6th, you will see the Red and Ed show. And I'm looking very much forward to what I can do with that. What I can do now that I don't have to sit down and schedule a guest every week, find somebody new to talk to, or reach out to people and get rejected until I do finally have to reach out to a friend at the last minute. And thank the Lord that I have such great friends that can come up and do this at the last minute. I'm looking forward to see where this goes and what kind of audience we can draw in from the fact that I've got another person here that already has a big following of her own. I'm looking forward to a lot of things. And having two people work on the itinerary instead of just me is also going to be a huge burden off my back. So I do thank everybody who came in and enjoyed my interviews. I thought that I was going to keep doing a sort of a Dave Rubin style show forever where I interviewed a different person each week, but this is the direction I need to go, and I have found an incredible co-host to come back and do this. The name is going to be changing. I'm working on making a backsplash right now. I'm working on a little bit of intro music. I'm looking to see some stuff that won't trip the... I've got an idea, but I'm looking at some stuff right now that won't trip the algorithm, because we may crazily want to monetize one day. I really don't want to sit and force feed advertisements to you guys, but, you know, if we want to make some money, that's going to be the way to do it. And most of you have ad blockers anyway, so you won't get to see most of them anyway. But yeah, this is going to be the next way forward in my life. And Contemporary is still on. You will still see me every weekday morning at, well, when I get up. But we are trying to get that more consistent to 7 a.m. Central. But man, it gets hard to get up. Well, maybe once I start getting help on the itinerary each week, I can do a little bit more and get up a little bit earlier, so maybe that'll happen here. But yeah, my goal is to get that back to being 7 all the time, so we'll be doing that. Already Conservative says, he ain't lying, folks. This isn't a hobby. This isn't just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually, it looks like Unsatiable here has got quite a bit of stuff in here for me to answer once I get done with these topics here, but quite a bit of stuff for me to talk about, quite a bit of stuff for me to do. But I do want to let you guys know that this is the next step in my life, and I hope you guys will come and join myself and Elaine every week, 5:30 Central Time, 6:30 Eastern, and sit down and listen to us talk about the news every day. And we will continue to read the chat between topics, so that will be your time to interact with us and ask questions as well. As we get more popular, it probably will be a little bit harder to read every single message. I know that I got called out a little bit at some point for not reading all the messages anymore, but you know, once you guys start throwing messages in there, it gets hard to do it between every topic. So I do apologize, and I apologize in advance if we do have to start skipping messages and skipping only to questions and then super chats if we monetize. But I do want to make sure that you guys come first, because you guys help build up all this thing. Everything will still be featured on this channel. We are going to run it through my channel because I do have an established base and I've got the equipment here to do it. So go ahead and check that out, and that will be coming up here. I am going to look at the chat here, but then I do want to take some time and move on and talk about how I felt about Jenna Marbles, because that was a kick in the teeth to me. That really was. When I saw that video, I have it set up. We actually might sit down and watch a little bit of it as we go, but let's see what the live chat is doing here first. Unsatiable says, fuck this, I'm on Blog TV with my hands up, and Amazon is a stupid... Unsatiable, you don't have... Is my robot censoring you? Because I will reprogram that fucker if he's censoring you. Nephilim Ninja says, hope you're well. I am well. I just got done doing a jog. I feel quite a bit better here. It's hot as fuck out. But it was a short jog. It's me getting back into it after I hurt my ankle, because I really need to start doing that again. I'm doing the diet now, but I need the exercise, so we'll start doing more of that here. Unsatiable says, gotta start the boogaloo right now. The next stimulus package will make inflation skyrocket. Trump confirmed a huge stimulus, and Republicans had a meeting talking exclusively about another stimulus and left it saying that they agree with Trump. Fuck that. No, we don't need more money right now. We just need to keep shit open, and that's going to be the hardest part, because they're going to try... Well, of course, the stimulus is going to be Trump's signature because he's trying to win over the black vote after everything that happened out here, which I do think part of this was engineered, because everybody was so happy with the checks that had Trump's name on them that they didn't... that they wanted to go out and vote for Trump again. I cut my fucking check up because of the inflation, because nothing comes out of the government with a hook in it. But no point in a stimulus if money, or when money ain't worth shit. Yeah, that's part of the reason I cut mine up. My friend worked at Amazon warehouse and caught COVID because they jam-packed thousands in a tiny warehouse. Now he has unemployment postponed for 3 to 4 weeks and can't make rent this month, and slumlords are censored again and evict with no remorse. Jeff Bezos is a piece of shit. Well, that's between you and Jeff Bezos. I will continue to buy from Amazon because it's one of the best way for me to get what I need for this channel at a moment's notice, and a couple of the other things that I buy on there regularly. I do prefer to go out and shop locally, but it's not always an option, and there's not always a place to do it. I won't go to Vitamin Plus anymore because their clerks are jackasses. I won't go there. I've had bad experiences in 4 different Vitamins Pluses. I won't go to that company anymore. I'll just buy it off Amazon, and then I don't have to worry about it. R-Rated Conservative says, good evening, Patriots, and they thank me for saying kind words to him. Yeah, he's an awesome guy. Go check out his channel. I am going to get with IT and figure out why the fuck it's not showing up on Freedom Scoop anymore, because he's shouting our names out, so we want to shout him out. Free movement of labor is always the way to go. Yeah, but across borders, you can't import the third world and expect for wages to stay high either. There's a balance you have to meet. R-Rated Conservative says, Gen, Gap, and Ignoramus are all class. Fact check true. If you ever get up this way, let me know so we can go get hammered. I'm thinking about it here. I do have a little bit of vacation left, and then it all resets in November. I have a friend that lives Worcester area that I do want to go see. She was the one that helped convince me to get onto the low-carb diet so I could start losing them. I think I was pushing 250 when I finally said enough was enough. I've usually hung around 220 for most of my life, but I think I was hitting 250, and I had heartburn so bad I couldn't sleep. I had to be hammered to sleep most nights, and I didn't sleep for most of the week. And yeah, she was the one that helped me push that. But I mean, I know where Already Conservative is, and especially for how small Massachusetts is, everything is close. It wouldn't be that far for me to hit over from the Worcester area down to the city that I know that he's in. But yeah, I might do that here before the end of the year. Probably before you move. Maybe I'll do it in the winter. Who knows? We'll see how bad they drive up there in the winter again. I do like to drive. I will say that. And I mean, the old truck was having problems. The rear end was getting to go, but I mean, it was a stripped down XLT, and it wasn't really that comfortable for long term. This truck is amazing for long drives. I drove from here to DC to Orlando, then back to DC, then back here. 48 hours of driving, and I felt great at the end of it. This truck is nice, and it's still an XLT, but it's a high-end XLT. It's actually the XTR package, so it's got the powered seat, the premium stereo system, the premium HVAC system, and plus, my old truck had it was a half-ton, but it had a 3/4 ton rear end, so it had an extra spring in the back that made the suspension stiffer, and a heavier rear end. So It got poor gas mileage and it rode harder. This truck rides so nice. Compared to the other one, it was like riding on a cloud. Now, of course, it's not like riding in a fancy luxury car or anything. I do understand the fact that it is a pickup truck and it does have the pickup truck ride, but compared to the last one, it's like riding on a cloud. Unsatiable says 401k versus IRA. I have neither, so I can't weigh in on that. I am actually hedging my bets into a few small businesses instead. I am invested in a couple here and there, and I've got some people that are working for me making money, but I don't want to put it into the big market because, well, going through work especially, I had my 401k confiscated when I quit my job a few years ago. I quit my job because I was moving. They confiscated my 401k and I never saw a penny of it. And I had quite a bit of money into there. And I'm still pretty pissed about that. It wasn't enough for my lawyer to get involved, but for what I was making there at the time, because they were artificially holding my wages down, that was quite a bit of money for what I was making at that place. And they just confiscated it. So I'm not going to name the company, obviously. I've been tempted to. I've been tempted to actually say I'm still working there so that when I get big and famous, the SJWs go rip the fucking place down, but I'm not that much of a dick. All right, R-rated conservative says he ain't lying, folks. This isn't a hobby. This is a lifestyle. It is. Yeah. That's why I'm having Elaine come on and help me out. Ron Helton's got the sticker party going on in here. R-rated conservative says I'll be there any chance I get. Insatiable says I think you should contact China and do some propaganda for them for like a year and rake in that cash. No, thank you. Ron Helton says hi, Namvet. Oh, Namvet. That's a new name in here. Welcome on in. R-rated conservative says China rhymes with vagina. Same here. Amazon supplied my entire studio. Yeah, it's great, and you don't have to go into a high pressure situation and go and. I mean, some of the salesmen in some of these music stores can be really, really pushy. I played guitar for on and off for years. Like, you've got the guitar sitting behind me. I don't know if you can see that there. I'm learning to play it again because I actually might take some initiative and try and play the intro music myself for the new show, but that'll come a little ways down the road after I learn how to do production. But yeah, that'll come in. R-rated conservative says, no worries, man. I admit I haven't been able to devote the proper time to Freedom Scoop. Well, you say our name at the end of every episode, so I watch every episode. You say our name at the end, and I do really appreciate that. Hit Squad should be illegal to take out Jeff Bezos in Minecraft. Disavow. R-rated conservative says I'm about 1.5 hours from Worcester. This girl lives on your side of Worcester, so it's probably a little bit closer. I would say it would probably take me an hour to get from there to you. So, just judging from what I know about that state. Probably about an hour, yeah. I used to love driving until I blew my back out. If you get the right vehicle, prostitution should be illegal for anyone over 18. Yeah, I have some trouble with that. In concept, I agree with you, but I do have some trouble with that. Nambat says, is there a show tonight, RRC? I can't answer that. Driving to Ohio back in January was agony by the time we hit the state line. Yeah, no. From where you are to Ohio is, and I don't know where you went in Ohio, but I know that from where you are in Ohio to Ohio is quite the journey. Upstate New York is a long drive on I-90. Ron Helton says, hopefully there will be no mandatory quarantine when you do decide to travel to another state. No show tonight, still feeling sore on the jaw. Mrs. RRC beat you up. Okay. Sparta says, I trade, they're not supposed to take your 401k. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out where the legality was in that, but they found a way to do it. Name drop them, the fucking assholes keep getting away with it. It's been 5 years at this point. If I was going to do something, I would have done it at the time, but it's been 5 years at this point, so. They'll screw over other people if no one speaks out on their 401k bullshit. Yeah, well, that's not my problem anymore. Jake says, I said show feet. Not going to happen. I think you can sue them for your 401k and damages. It was more than the 401k was worth. We actually went down that road and checked into what it would. By the time court costs and lawyer fees were done, it was actually more than what was in the 401k. They were only paying me $10 an hour. So to me at the time, what was in the 401k was massive. I make quite a bit more money than that now. So, I mean, To me now it looks trivial, the amount of money that was in there, but at the time it looked like it was massive. Get a lawyer that takes payment after you win. I have a lawyer on retainer, but she knew what she was getting into. You really do need a law degree to defend yourself as an adult. No, you need a lawyer on retainer, which I have. RRC sounds like a plan. Ron Helton says, so free whoring is fine, just not getting paid. I got it. Cincinnati, 14-hour ride. Okay, yeah, I could see that. Legal prostitution is an attack on the family unit. Once you destroy the family, the rest of society follows. I am very much in favor of you can do with your own body what you want to do. But yes, I also see Sparta's point too. That's why I'm on the fence about that one. But I'm on the fence about a lot of things. That's why I have splinters in my ass. And the last one I hear before I go and talk about Jenna Marbles is Ron Helton says TradingView is supposed to be free for tracking the stock market. I haven't downloaded to try it out yet. I just read Investor's Business Daily every morning with you guys. Everyone who comes by Contemporary, we sit down and read Investor's Business Daily. All right. I am not going to show the video. I thought about it, but I'm not going to. But we got to talk about Jenna Marbles, and I will check back. Unsatiable, you will be the next one that I read here. But we got to talk about Jenna Marbles because this was a massive punch in the gut when I saw the video. At this point, because it's trending number 5 on YouTube, I'm guessing that the majority of you have seen the video. But for those of you who haven't, Jenna Marbles is a YouTuber from way back in the beginning, way back in the edgy days of YouTube. Way back when you still had the square screens. I actually watched one of her old videos. It popped up in my feed while I was watching the message video. And it was actually, ironically enough, the video that introduced me to the woman to begin with. So, way back in, now, let's do a little bit of history lesson before. Now, I was first syndicated for a political article when I was 16. So writing about politics has always been in my blood. In fact, I've written several articles in my teen years talking about what was going on in the world based on the way that I saw it as a kid from the country. When I moved to the city and I saw my first protest, a peace protest for the war in Iraq, I went and I saw that and I wrote an article about that. That got syndicated at the time. I wrote an article about 9/11 that's been syndicated, solutions for 9/11 that's been syndicated, an article on the election in 2000, and points for Bush versus points for Gore. And that got syndicated, and my first syndicated article was actually how Bill Clinton's affair affected the Democrat Party from the view of somebody who was 16. And I was a big-time Democrat at the time, too, you have to keep in mind. But I was a Union Democrat. I wasn't one of these idiot progressives that we have now that are chasing Union Democrats out of the party. So I've been writing syndicated political articles since I was 16. I took a long break from it because I didn't think that I was good enough to do it because of the way that my ex-fiancé treated me and the girl that came after her treated me. I did take a long step out of that. They shook my confidence to the point that I couldn't do it anymore. But then I was starting to go back and look into the world again. I was dating again once I moved back to Wisconsin. And while I was going through and looking through Facebook one day, one of my friends, my uber progressive friend, let me point that out there, posted this video by a woman named Jenna Marbles called How to Trick People into Think That You're Good Looking When You're Really, Really Ugly. And I watched the video. It's only a 2.5 minute video. It's a really short one. But I took the time and I watched the video. And it was hilarious. And I found the channel. It was the first YouTube channel I had ever subscribed to in my life. On my other personal account there that you guys don't know about. The one that I use to upload my videos for playing over on Eddsworld and the Red and Ed Show. I subscribed to her over there. She had a lot of really great points. I particularly started enjoying some of her more serious work. But the comedy stuff was hilarious too. I had switched over to Neocon at the time, so I was supposed to be insulted when she made her Cooking with Sarah Palin video, in which the first thing she did was, oh boy, let me get topless so I'm more comfortable. Just ripping fun of Sarah Palin. I was supposed to be outraged about that because I was full on Neocon at the time, but I thought it was hilarious Because you got to be able to laugh at yourself. It's the way you can do comedy. You got to be able to laugh at yourself and the things that you like. Otherwise, you're just screeching into the wind like progressives are. So I thought that was hilarious. I knew the woman's politics didn't align with mine, but I didn't care. I thought the videos were funny, and the serious ones were very insightful. She had a video called What Girls Do When Dating, What Guys Do When Dating. One of the funniest ones I saw was What Energy Drinks Do, which I recommend if she still has it up. I don't know what's privatized and what isn't at this point. But this woman was instrumental in my internet presence and me coming back to political writing. And the reason that I say that is because when I first started writing my blog, which is linked in the description below if you guys want to go out and check it out, all of my old articles are in there, including when I transitioned to writing about politics. But you have to keep in mind, when I started writing again, I was writing about dating and lifestyle, and maybe a little bit of nerdy stuff and some philosophy. For the most part, I was writing about dating and lifestyle. And I was inspired to write about dating and lifestyle, both by my experiences out in the world, which were a mixed bag of great and bad, the strategies that I used to get dates and end dates. That's about as far as I'm going to go on this YouTube channel, lest I get shut down before my co-host comes up. And the differences in men and women, and the reason that men and women do things the way they do. It was a lot of philosophy, a lot of lifestyle, a lot of how to dress, how to get cigars, the best kinds of scotch, and even some articles where I just pointed out some of the hot, famous girls that I thought were hot. It was fun, but I had some serious moments in there. But I was inspired to do that when I started seeing videos like that here. And I never thought that I could just get a webcam and do this. I thought a webcam was a super expensive thing. The webcam I had bought before, when I was talking to my ex-fiancée when she was studying abroad over in Germany, the webcam I bought before was, at the time, I don't even remember what I paid for it, but I remember it was big money at the time, as opposed to the $20 and $40 webcams that are sitting up on top of the monitor that I'm talking into now. But they were big money at the time, and I thought that, getting equipment, getting a microphone and stuff like that was just going to be huge money, a huge setup, and a huge hassle. But I could still write, and they had free sites to host blogs. I started, I think, with blog.com, and then I switched to blogspot.com because it was a better interface, and you had more ability to change your font, your style, and everything else. But because I saw these videos here, I saw somebody who was not afraid to be herself, not afraid to get laughed at, not afraid to get ridiculed for what she believed in. That inspired me to go out and start putting my internet presence out. And that's a big part of the reason that I'm here today, is because I saw that woman's videos and just a person, not a highly paid TV producer, not some actor that's out there that's got $1 million that everybody wants to see, just some woman from Cambridge who wanted to go out and have her message heard and didn't care what other people thought. And that's why the message video just punched me right square in the fucking gut when I saw it. Jenna Marbles sat down, was practically in tears, saying how she had privatized her videos because she didn't want people to be offended by them. She couldn't stand the fact that people were offended by them. She hated the fact that she did blackface to mock people, and not a word about their Kesha video and her Sarah Palin video. Of course, because they're on the wrong side of history and Kesha is white. But she's out there making these videos, talking about, one of the things that she said was slut shaming. Bitch, you need to call that shit out. Because that was a big part of the reason that the nuclear family fell apart in the early 2000s, was because women were whoring around. We need more slut shaming. I'm sorry. We need to change our society. But she went out and did this tearful apology saying she'd privatized so many of her videos. These millions of views videos. This woman had 20 million subscribers. But I also noted, as I was watching this journey and looking back, remembering the journey that the woman went down, I kind of stopped watching her when I saw that she had jumped up and hosted some game show on MTV. Because I just said, okay, well, she's become mainstream now. This is no longer just some woman in Cambridge. She's become mainstream now. And I do believe that there is a big part of that it was driving this video. Now, of course, she moved to California. She went vegan. She has a likeness in Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. So she went full on mainstream, which meant that she needed to go full on mainstream for her opinions as well. But just to sit back and look and think that this woman that I admired for her ability to go out and put her opinions out without giving a fuck what people thought is now coming in and saying she gives a fuck what people think and she can't put videos out anymore. That makes me look back and wonder if the inspiration for me to sit here in front of the camera and talk to you people was all an act, was all a lie. And I hate that feeling. Because that means that the last 3 years of work that I've done is a lie. And I hate that feeling. But I will assure you, at this point, you are never, ever, ever going to see a video like that from me. And here is my point. Here's my position on why you'll never see that video from me and how I feel about people who are offended by the kinds of jokes I tell and the kind of material that I put out. My opinion is this. If you don't like the joke that I told, or the content that I put out, or the message that I'm putting out, or even the politics that I'm preaching, nobody's holding a gun to your head to watch my channel. You can turn that knob, click away from this channel, and I have no hard feelings for you. None. You are free to watch the things that you want to watch. And if I'm not one of them, I apologize. But I'm not changing my content to tailor to you. Just like I said last week when I was talking about the guy who decided he needed to come into my live chat, and it cost me for the fact that I didn't like DACA and the fact that on Contemporary I don't talk to the live chat. Because I could have so many Twitch subscribers and be an affiliate if I talked to the live chat on my morning show. Well, here's the reality, woke left. It's not your name on the bottom of this Twitch channel, for those of you who are watching over on Twitch. It doesn't say woke left on the bottom here. It says Eddsblog Twitter, which means I make the decisions on how I run my channel. And if you don't like it, click off. And it's that simple. And we need to be doing more of that out in the world. We need to be doing a lot more of that with the way that we run the world. If you don't like something, nobody's forcing you to watch it. You don't change something out there to tailor to you. You find something that more fits your narrative and more of your ideology. It's like Jay-Z used to say, if you don't like the lyrics, you can press pass forward. Got beef with radio? They don't play my hits? I don't give a shit, so. That's how it needs to be out there in the world. And I'm really sorry that Jenna Marbles had to fall from grace because she had one of the best messages out there. The message of be yourself. Do what's right for you. And it doesn't matter what other people think about it. And I hate the fact that she fell from grace. One of my heroes has fallen. Fallen to the woke left crowd. R.I.P. All right. I'm through the 2 topics that I wanted to get through. Let's go back to the live chat here, and then we'll see what we can talk about for the other ones. Thank you for coming to my rant here. And then we got to get out of here actually pretty soon because Stephen Ignoramus is going to be starting his music stream up here. But let's see what we've got for live chat here. Looks like I said Unsatiable was going to be the one where we started. So Unsatiable 1776 says, damn, that's where I want to be in life. Having a lawyer and retainer sounds so cool. The reality of having a lawyer and retainer was I got framed for vandalism when I was 18. The public defender actually did a really good job, but I sat and had anxiety over the fact that I had to use the public defender. I thought I was going to prison. I definitely did. When I looked at the charges, I looked at what they had brought up against me. I thought I was going up for 10 years. But the public defender actually did a really good job. We got it down to restitution. I have no criminal record because of that particular public defender. No criminal record whatsoever. I paid restitution and I moved on with my life. But I never wanted to be in that position again. Ever. So the next day, as soon as all of that was over, I started looking through the phone book and finding attorneys that would take on retainer. I pay my lawyer $25 a month, and I have since I was 18. And she's worked for me twice. She actually came to Massachusetts for me. Every once in a while I call her if I want to get in on a business or invest in something. When I was planning on working with a meat market down in Kenosha, it was offered to me to buy into it, and I talked to my lawyer about it. But yeah, it's it's not that expensive, and she has plenty of capital sitting in her bank account for in case I do need to pay lawyer fees. Like I said, it's $25 a month for how old am I? 36 for 18 years, $25 a month. And until that is exhausted, I don't have to worry about legal fees. Once that's exhausted, it's going to get really expensive in a hurry, but yeah. That's why I have a lawyer on retainer, because I never want to be in that position ever again. I want somebody that I know and trust to be there for me. If, for whatever reason, I get picked up, speeding ticket, arrested, framed, want to start a business, just something like that. That's a good feeling. Ron Helton says, hey, I don't need to pay for it. They say I'm a good-looking man. I've never seen you, Ron, so I can't fact-check that. Sparta says, an attorney has lots of customers, will never take your case in the same serious manner as you will. Unsatiable says, I could give two fucks about the family unit. I want to get my dick wet for the low, low price on the free market. I could sleep with all the redheads. Disavow. Good taste, but disavow. Sparta says, every time I call one of my attorneys, I have to remind them parts of my case. Ron says, the legal guild is bleeding us dry. They created most of the legal problems with their assistance in writing the laws that Congress passes. That I can't deny. That's why I have an attorney on retainer, because I want to have somebody there that understands the law. Actually, I understand most of the law too. I could probably go and take the bar and be a lawyer myself without going to law school, just from all the reading that I do on that, because I'm fascinated with the language of the law. But I would rather have somebody that's licensed and bonded. Gives them more work. Ron says, I was a Democrat for my first election, quickly corrected that error of my ways. Unsatiable says, unions aren't that bad if everyone in it are hard workers, but I see a lot of lazy people being protected by the union. Well, and that's what the union, I guess, the corporate union wants. Now, I've never had a problem with a bunch of people coming together saying, okay, we want to pool money together and have a lawyer present, and then if one of us wants something done with the company, then we all quit, because they can't survive if we all quit at the same time. That's what a union should be. But the problem that I had when I started seeing the fact that when you worked in a union, your payroll department was taking it out of your check and giving it to the union. So they had their hands in each other's pockets. The corporatized union I don't care for. But that's what we've got there. R-rated conservative says Sarah Palin's a hooah. Okay, I heard that in your voice now, and now I know what you were going with. I thought you were doing a Marine thing when I first saw that pop up in the chat, but now I know where you're going with that. That's hilarious. Ron Helt says, I'm 100% against government unions. We need to be able to fire them with impunity. Well, I'm once again on the fence about that. I understand why there's a police union. The rest of the government unions I do see as sort of a corporate bargaining chip for the people to work against, or to bargain against the people, the taxpayers. But for all the shit that the police have to go through in their quest to keep people safe, I don't know that I would ever want to go in with that without at least having a representative to talk on my behalf. And that's the other thing that unionization does, is to have a representative who understands the system to speak on your behalf, instead of you going in and incriminating yourself. I think for the police, I do like that idea, even though I think that there's too many laws that the police need to be policing, but they are in that position all the time, or they say one wrong thing and they're incriminated for a crime that they didn't commit. So, Sparta says, I'm green authoritarian, genocracy, cybernetic monarchy. That is a mouthful, and I don't know what any of them, well, I know what those words individually mean, but put together, I don't understand where you stand. I apologize. Unsatiable says, Sarah Palin is hot, but that voice, just got to put it in her mouth not to hear him. Unsatiable's on fire tonight. Somebody put a quarter in that boy. Yeah, government unions like the police union and teachers unions are N. I don't know where N was going with that, but yeah, the teacher union I don't agree with. because we do need to get rid of the teachers that don't care about the students and just want to come in and pay with a paycheck. I used to date a teacher, but she worked in a private school, so she wasn't unionized. And I saw qualities in that one. She cared for her kids like they were her own children. Those are the kind of teachers we need in public school, but the union and a teacher shortage are just letting anybody come in and get protected no matter how bad of a job they do and how much Marxist indoctrination they do. Sparta says, no, that is her, not you. Ron says, exactly. If you want to be protected from viruses, then pick what works for you. No need for the goobers and the gooberment to protect us. They failed at protecting our liberties. I don't want them to cause my death. Sparta says, I'd rather get the virus, get immunity, move on. Yeah, that's what I said too right at the beginning. I said, just let me get it. Then I don't have to worry about it again. Ron says, I had it in February. I think I did too. I really do. I'm in the old people category. It was like a really nasty flu with cold, diarrhea, nausea, like food poisoning, pneumonia at the end. I think my dad had it, but he had it back at the end of last year. I don't think that March was the first time we had a case in this country. Just based on people that I know that got really, really, really sick at the beginning of cold season this past year with a virus that nobody could identify. I'm pretty sure that this came back here around Thanksgiving, or maybe even before. I did not go to the doctor, took a lot of vitamins, and took some antibiotics with the pneumonia. Good to know. I'm glad you're healthy now. Unsatiable says, good public defenders don't stay public defenders and go out on the free market after getting some recognition. Yeah, I do wonder where that guy went. I never actually looked into him again. I bet you he's a partner somewhere at this point. I mean, 18 years in law, I'm sure he's not a public defender anymore, but it's a good place for people just getting out of law school to go cut their teeth. I will admit that. R-rated conservative says, I had a family court attorney burn me a couple years ago. I'm sorry to hear that. Me Texan says libertarian. Federalist is kind of where I am. I'm not libertarian because I know that there are people out there that are going to want some government and people out there that want to be full-on anarchist. I think that if we cut this down to state level government, people will move to the states that have the amount of government that they want. So I'm very federalist. Very federalist. Unsatiable says there's a few states where you can take the bar test without going to law school. All you need is an attorney to vouch for you. I think, and I'm not sure, but I think they changed that here. Because I remember when I was first talking about it, my girlfriend at the time said that she looked into it and said that I had to go to law school in order to take the bar. But if I remember correctly, under the Scott Walker administration, they changed that. But I haven't looked into it. I think, though, I can take that without going to law school. I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't know, but I think I can. Do you think you can study and pass the bar? Probably. I read a lot of legislation to do contemporary in Eddsworld. I read a lot of legislation, so I understand the legalese. I would have to look into and see kind of what's on it, which maybe if I took the LSAT I would know that, but kind of what kinds of things are on there and look into a lot of case law. But yeah, I think I could. Ron Helton says, just end the drug war. It has not served us. Me Texan has a cool sticker I've never seen before. That's a neat one. I like that. Anime girls and MAGA hats. I like that. Me Texan says, why don't we just put liberals in jail because they didn't have due process? You'd have to have an actual allegation against them. You'd have to have a grand jury charge. There's another word for it, and I can't think of it right off the top of my head. Indictment, there it is. You'd have to have an indictment, trial by jury of their peers, or plea bargain to do so. You still have to have due process for people, no matter how much you don't like them. Unsatiable says, yeah, let's have camps where we put on... I can't read that. I can't read that, Unsatiable. It's funny, but I can't read that. Sorry. Spartan says, takes 3 weeks for a coronavirus or a corona-type virus to circle the globe. I could see that. Yeah, we're very global at this point. Unsatiable says, we beat the liberals by becoming fascists. I don't recall that. I don't remember when that happened. Does anybody else remember when that happened? Because I don't remember when that happened. Ron Helton says, no, I think it spread from China in the very first week of the outbreak there. Me Texan says, oh yeah, but can I get an optics check? I guess I'm not sure what you're referring to on that. I apologize. The R-rated conservative says, I think I may have had it in April. I was exhausted for 3 weeks to the point that I could barely function. I think I had it in January because I was waking up in January every day with a very sore throat and almost feeling like a sinus infection. I was exhausted, which at the time I attributed to the fact that my body was trying to heal from when I slipped and fell on the ice. And I'm pretty sure I sprained my ankle, but I never got it looked at. And I thought I was just exhausted from that. But I do recall the fact that I constantly had a sore throat and I was constantly tired. So I'm pretty sure that I had it in January. That's why I think the March thing is bullshit. Ron says it was intended for the states to run themselves and to come together for the common defense. We need to return to that concept. Me Texan says thoughts on national populism. National populism is a little bit dangerous because, once again, like I said, the majority of people in this country are positioned in Chicago, New York City, and California. To go down national populism is very much saying that it's very close to the direct democracy thing. Now, Trump himself is a populist. He goes in and he just tries to do what's the most popular for the most amount of people that'll vote for him. I understand that. But national populism, from what I understand, goes down the lines of direct democracy. Like I said, I do like the idea of letting the different states implement a level of government that their people want. And then letting people move around to find the amount of government that they want over them. Because people in Los Angeles and Sacramento are never going to want to be anarchists. Ever. They feel very comfortable when they have that steel boot sitting down on their neck and saying, we will take away your freedom, but it's to keep you safe. The people of California are very much like that. But the people of Texas just want to be left the fuck alone for the most part. And the people in their liberal bastions aren't going to stand for the kind of government that Texas wants. So if we go into a more federalist system, those people hopefully will get up and move to California. Now, one of the problems with federalism, of course, is that the level of government and the level of government programs in California are not sustainable. So after they wreck their economy and shoot their taxes through the roof, the people are going to want to find respite elsewhere and build a bigger government in a place like Texas. We're seeing some of that now because they wrecked California and now they want to go out and seek relief somewhere else where they can go in and vote in their Democrat government. So there's give and take to federalism. I think we would have to find a way to keep people ideologically out, but that does go against the idea of free movement as well. There are problems with federalism. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. I accept that there's problems with every political ideology. But federalism is the thing that I align the most with, I think. You think liberals respect law and order? I mean, seriously. Well, if it's their law, they respect it. Unsatiable says, for a Texan, you're quite a bootlicker. I don't know who's the Texan, unfortunately. XK Deathwitch says, eat the rich. Disavow. But thank you for coming in and checking us out. Me Texan. It says Texas in his name. I'm sorry. This is me getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working for 5 hours in the heat, and then trying to talk in a live chat. That's going to be the Texan right there. Wow. That was dumb. I feel embarrassed by that one. 100 messages. Thanks, guys. Ron Helton says, oh yeah, it took a month for me to get my strength back from the virus. Me Texan says, libertarians seem to be fine with Antifa and BLM erasing history, in my opinion. Well, they don't believe in government-mandated statues and parks. They think everything should be privatized, and the non-aggression principle keeps them from intervening. So it's not necessarily that they're okay with Antifa and BLM erasing history. It's the fact that they don't want to intervene because that would violate the non-aggression principle. All right. I'm going to finish up here, and then we're going to head on out of here because I really want to hear Steven's concert yet tonight. So Let's go ahead and finish up here. Unsatiable says we need to get back to the Articles of Confederation. Fact check true. Ron says no, I think erasing history is moronic. Eileen Libertarian voted for Ron Paul. Congratulations. You can judge all of libertarians based on the ideas of one or a few, and unfortunately the one and the few that he's probably comparing you to are the most vocal ones out there, the people that have the podcasts, like Jen the Libertarian. So keep that in mind. Meat Texan says, I'll rephrase right-wing populism. I don't know that much about right-wing populism. I'm going to look at, just for you, for the Ed Talk that comes up in 2 weeks, I'm going to look more into that. So join up with me. We're going to do this again in 2 weeks. Ed Talk is usually only every other week, but because of the Jenna Marbles thing, I did it 2 weeks in a row. So we'll do this again in 2 weeks. And I will look more into that and understand that more. So thank you for the question. And I apologize that I couldn't answer it right away, but yeah, give me a couple of weeks to learn more about that. Ron Helton says selectively erasing history is Marxism. I soundly condemn that nonsense. Fact check true. Well, the left is using the power of the state, whether or not. Fact check true. Sparta says LGBT BLM is a new political religion. They act like cult members. Ron Helton says, I did not like reading about history in school as a kid, but since leaving college, I read as much of it as I can. I like comparing different books on the same history. I do the same because I was more into the physical sciences, chemistry, physics, and math when I was in school. And I didn't really care about history, but now, oh my God, I love consuming history. I'm reading the Federalist Papers right now. Me Texan says exactly, there's no real opposition. Libertarians are cringe and politically dead weight as of now. Fact check false. Ron says, yes, I need to go out and mow the lawn. Was fixing to, and then saw the notice here. Me Texan thinks, I think Tucker Carlson and him talking about corporations using their power for left-wing causes. Ron says, well, they picked Joe, who I believe is a progressive, by the way. I don't think she was the right pick to try and attract more people to vote for them. And Unsatiable will get last word for the day, saying redheaded women should have tax credits to breed, so there could be more. Well, taxation is theft, so we can't give tax credits if we eliminate taxation. And that's going to be it for the day. So thanks everybody for coming and checking us out here. Tune in on Monday as we go back to reading contemporary, and then at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, we will go back and have the final episode of Eddsworld. And thank you everybody who's in the live chat now and everybody who was a guest for making Eddsworld what it was. I could not have done it without all of you guys. You guys all rock from the bottom of my heart. From me to you, thank you all. We are streaming right now live on YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Periscope, and Facebook. And if you want to catch us back on demand, you can go and catch us back on YouTube and over on BitChute.com. And I'm going to take some time later on tonight, and I'm going to catch up with the audio platform because we are also on Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. And if you see us over on iTunes, if I actually get caught up and get the podcast back out there, I do apologize. The vacation just threw me off to a point. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating and a good review. That always helps us move up the charts. Come back and check us out next week for more stuff, and I do hope to see you in the Red and Ed show. So looking very forward to see where this chapter takes me in the next part of life. And until then, the last word we always say on this show is never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Have a great weekend. It's warm out where I live, so I hope it's warm out and not rainy where you guys are too. And you can enjoy the rest of your weekend and enjoy your holiday weekend as well. I get the Saturday off, so I'm going to be enjoying that myself. So take care, everyone, and have a great day.